Bonjour and kia ora. Tēnā koutou katoa. Welcome everybody to Inside Rugby with Mark. In this episode, I'm going to be previewing the third test match to be played between the New Zealand All Blacks and the French rugby team in Hamilton, New Zealand this weekend. So let's get on with the show. G'day everyone, and if you're new to the channel or maybe you've been here for a long time, you've just forgotten who I am. My name is Mark. I'm a retired Kiwi bloke, a huge rugby fan, and I'm living here in Cancun in Mexico. Yes, a Kiwi on the other side of the world. Let's get into this wonderful episode, All Blacks versus France, and I'm going to give you the two teams, but I'm also going to talk about where I think the differences are in these teams and what's going to happen more than likely this weekend in Hamilton. So let's start off with the French team, and Fabien Galtier's done it again. He's made a load of changes, which I think is a great thing. If you haven't picked up on the vibe so far, I think it's fantastic that the French have taken a development squad and given them the opportunity to play against the All Blacks, and these test players now are going to be much better for it. And I've got a few names that have really stood out for me on this French tour down under to New Zealand, so I want to talk about those as we go through this French team. So let's have a look at the French forwards first of all that'll be taking to the field in Hamilton on Saturday against the All Blacks, and their front row will consist of Erdochio, Bourgaret and Slimani. And look, not a lot of caps between these guys, but I rate Bourgaret. I think he's a good hooker. He came on last week and made a difference, I thought, in the second half, and I think we're going to see him get around the field a lot better in this game, and I'm pleased that he's starting this game for France. Okay, moving on to the locks for France, and we're going to see Aradu and Halagahu. And Aradu is playing brilliant rugby, and this young guy, I tell you what, he's going to be one of the best locks in world rugby come 2027 in the Rugby World Cup. I really rate him. I've seen him doing some really good things on this tour of New Zealand, and just watch him on Saturday night and see how he goes against the New Zealanders, because he's a bit of a standout for me. Moving on to the loosies for France, and Fisher on one side and Brennan on the other side. Fisher's been a standout for me. I thought he's played very, very well on this tour. Look for him to be very disruptive. He's good at the breakdown. He'll give the Kiwis a hard time. And then their number 8 has probably been the forward of the tour for me, Gillard. You'll probably remember he scored that great try in the first test match. He's back again this weekend. Watch out for Gillard at number 8. He's a decisive runner in open play. He's got a little bit of that Wallace Satiti feel about him when he's playing his game. So yeah, again, another one to look out for on Saturday night. Now this is going to be their starting 8 for France. I think it's a good one. We've seen a number of changes come in here, but it's going to be really interesting to see the breakdowns and in particular the lineouts as well. That's where I think the Kiwis might be able to get some ball off this French team. Okay, let's have a look at the French backline now that's going to start the game, starting at number 9, and it's going to be Nolan Ligarac, who I think has played well on this tour so far. His kicking has been very good. Watch for his box kicks. See if they can put the All Blacks under pressure on high ball. I think that's going to be one of the strategy that this French team goes to on Saturday night. They're going to test out the Kiwi back three, who are all going to be relatively under pressure on that high ball. And then moving out to the number 10 jersey, we're going to see Hastoy come back in and start the game for the French. He's no Thomas Ramos, this guy, and he's no Intermac, but he's a good steady player. But he's also someone that could be given a lot of pressure, and I would expect to see the Kiwi Loosies give Hastoy a little bit of a warm-up on Saturday night. Outside of him, we're going to see Guy Fecu, who's going to be captain of this team again. Of course, he's one of the stalwarts of this French backline, and when he's given time and open space, he can be very, very dangerous. Outside of him, Nicolas Deportari, and Deportari is again another very good player with a lot of pace. Are they going to be able to match up against the Kiwi midfield? Well, we'll have to find out who they're up against first of all. And then on the wings for the French, we're going to see Villery back. He's one of my favourite players in world rugby at the moment. The guy's underrated. He's got a ton of pace, but what I really love about Villery is he goes looking for work, and he's always very, very hungry to get the ball. He's in the mould of one of those guys like Mark Talia or Cheslin Colby, who goes looking for work, and I love that in a winger. So we're going to see him on one wing. And then on the other wing, we're going to see the young man Adesogby. He's been playing well as well. I think in a couple of years' time, he's going to be another one that's world class. He's got a ton of pace, seems to be very creative, just hasn't had a lot of opportunity. So let's see whether he gets an opportunity this weekend on the wing. And then at fullback, we've got Barry again, who's getting more and more experience now. He's a good player, very tall, and again, another good one to counter-attack from this French team. And I think that's going to be part of their strategy this weekend. So that's the starting 15 for the French. I think it's a really good team. Some good changes there from Fabien Gaultier. We'll just have to see how they go. And coming off the bench, they've got Barlow, Malise, and Bamba in the front row. Then we're going to see Taya Fanua, Roman Taya Fanua, of course, a really, really good player, makes a big impact when he comes on. Triront, who is also very good, have got real raps on this guy as well. Watch him when he comes off the bench, going to make a big impact in this game. And I think the benches are going to be one of the great battles that we're going to have to look out for in this game on Saturday night. And then in the backs, we're going to see Bochaton, Dalbanya, and Galanton. So haven't seen a couple of those guys. Galanton, of course, we've seen a number of times. We'll have to see how he goes, trying to inject some pace to the French when they move their players in off the bench. So there we go, that's the French team. How are they going to stack up? Well, I'm going to talk about the All Blacks now and give you my view where I think the French might be able to take advantage of some of the players that have been named in this All Black team. Okay, let's have a look at the All Blacks. And Scott Robertson's had to make a number of changes because of injuries. And this is interesting for me because I was just wondering how many of these changes would have happened if the injuries hadn't occurred for Scott Robertson. So we don't still know really whether he's being creative in giving these people an opportunity or whether he's forced to play them because of the injuries that he's had to his squad. And he's had a number of players that have pulled up after that last game from France. So let's have a look at the All Blacks forwards to start this game. And in the front row, we're going to see Ethan de Groot. We're going to see Takiaho, and we're going to see Tyrell Lomax back in the front row. So he's back from injury, which is a good thing. I think he did his calf in, and he's finally over that. So we're going to see him coming in and taking over that propping position from Fletcher Newell, who will drop down to the bench in this particular game. So I think this is a good front row from the All Blacks, but are they going to be able to match it with the French? This is going to be one of the telling areas that we're going to have to watch. The set piece around the scrums. Is this All Black front row going to be able to do the job on the French? Then moving into the locking pairing, it's going to be the same pair we saw as last week, Patrick Tuipulotu and Fabian Holland. I thought they both played really, really good games, and I'm looking forward to them having another run together this week. There was a little bit of an injury cloud over Tuipulotu, so we'll have to see how he goes and whether he's at full fitness for this particular game. Then it's in the back three. We're going to see some changes for the All Blacks, forced through injury again. And we're going to see Finau coming in to start the game as one of the loosies, and we're going to see Adi Savir on the other side, who will also be the captain again for the All Blacks this weekend, which I give all my thumbs up to. And then we're going to see Luke Jacobson come in from Christian Leo Willie at number 8. So Jacobson's been injured as well for a while. He's back now, and he's been given an opportunity to have a run this weekend. I'm looking forward to seeing how Jacobson goes. It's another one of those players that's on the fringe or the peripheral of this All Black team. He needs to take this opportunity now and step up and show Razor and the selectors what he can do for this All Black team. So there we go, that's the All Blacks starting 8 for this game. Let me know what you think in the comments. Okay, now let's move on to the back line for the All Blacks, and starting at number 9, we're going to see Cortez Ratama. A lot of you in the comments have been making comments around the fact that you think he's too slow with his distribution. He's going to get caught. Well, let's keep a close eye on that this weekend. It's something I'm definitely going to be watching. We don't want Ratama to become another Finlay Christie, do we? Because that's exactly what kept Christie out of the All Blacks, I think, was that slow ball speed from the base of the ruck and the scrums. We've got to see faster distribution from the Kiwi halfback on this occasion. Now, outside of him, Beauden Barrett has got a hand injury. He won't be starting in this game. In fact, there's no Barretts in this game, which is unusual, you might think, but it was only last year against Japan that the Barretts didn't start in the game for the All Blacks. So it hasn't been too long since we've had this, but it is an unusual occurrence for rugby followers of the All Blacks. In number 10, we're going to see Damien McKenzie. We all know what I think of Damien McKenzie. Great player, should be coming off the bench, but in this case, he's going to be starting at number 10. But I think Razor's got a little bit of a surprise up his sleeve for this one, and I'll get into it in just a minute. Outside of McKenzie, we're going to see Quintu Paia. And I think this is a good move. I think he played quite well when he came on in the other game against the French Now he's going to get a chance to start this game, so the pressure's going to be on Quinn Tupaia to really step up, show us what he can do at number 12, and can he get over the advantage line against this rush defense from the French. So outside of Quinn Tupaia, we're going to see the return of Anton Leonard-Brown for the All Blacks. He's been out injured for a while as well, finally making his way back. I've got to say, I'm not a huge fan. I don't think he's the solution in the midfield heading into the Rugby World Cup, but let's see how he goes. I'm prepared to give everybody their opportunity to prove me wrong. So Anton Leonard-Brown has an opportunity to prove me wrong this weekend in the number 13 jersey. And then moving out to the wings, this is where it gets really shaky for me. We've got Rieko Ioane on one wing and we've got Sevu Reece on the other wing. Again, looking forward to 2027, the Rugby World Cup. I don't see either of these players being world class enough to take on the best teams in the world. And I don't know what's going to happen here with Razor. I don't know whether he's going to make long-term changes in these positions or not. Of course, injury is a factor. We've got Caleb Clark out for a number of weeks. And of course, we've lost Mark Talia this year as well from the All Blacks. So Ioane it is, and Sevu Reece on the wings. Let's hope they prove me wrong, have brilliant games, but they've got to deliver on the night. And then at fullback, we're seeing Ruben Love come in. A lot of you have been, like me, cheering on Ruben Love, wanting him in this team as a starter. Well, he's in there at 15, but here's where my little mystery comes into it. I think if Damian McKenzie's not doing the job at number 10 throughout this game, I think we might see Razor move him into number 10, Ruben Love, and we might see McKenzie go to fullback. That's just a little bit of a hunch I've got. What do you think? Do you think that could be a possibility if things aren't going well for the All Blacks at number 10 in the beginning of this game? There we go. That's the starting 15, and that's the starting backline for the All Blacks for the game in Hamilton on Saturday. So that's all I've been asking for Razor, is to experiment with this team, give these guys an opportunity. That's what he's doing. Anton Leonard-Brown, Quinn Tupaia, you've got an opportunity. Sevu Reece, Rieko Ioane again on the wings, you've got an opportunity. And Ruben Love coming into the team. It's time to show us what you can do from fullback, and maybe coming into number 10 during the game as well. Okay, let's have a look at the All Blacks bench and see what's happening here. And we've got the 5-3 split again, and it's going to be Brodie McAllister coming in for his debut for the All Blacks. We've got George Bauer coming in. You'll probably remember George when the All Blacks went to the Northern Hemisphere tour last year. He was making a lot of YouTube videos for the All Blacks in the background. Well, he's going to be sitting on the bench for the All Blacks and coming in off the bench for them during this game. And then we've got Fletcher Newell, of course, dropping out of the game, as I said, with Tyrell Lomax starting the game. And then the two other forwards, we've got the return of Dalton Papali'i. Again, another one of those players on the peripheral that's got an opportunity now to really prove himself to Razor, and whether or not he can be that impact player the All Blacks are looking for off the bench. The other forward that's coming off the bench is going to be Du Plessis-Carefi again. A lot of you in the comments haven't been impressed with Carefi so far. You're saying that he's too small and not bulky enough and impacting enough off the bench. Well, let's see how he goes again this weekend and make our judgments after this particular game. And then let's have a look at the three backs that are coming off the bench for the All Blacks. Noah Hotham, I'm pleased with this. I really want to see this guy giving an opportunity. I think him and Roygaard might be the guys that we're pushing towards the front when it gets to Rugby World Cup 2027. I just think Noah Hotham's showing more than what Cortez Ratama is at the moment. But let's see again how these guys perform this weekend. And then we've got Tavatavana Wai coming in again. Had a little bit of a cameo last time out, but this time he's going to come off the bench, hopefully make a great impact. We didn't see any bustling runs from him last time that really made a difference in the game. Let's hope we see it in Hamilton on Saturday. And then the last back to come off the bench for the All Blacks is our wonderful try-scoring machine, Will Jordan. And this is an interesting move, because what could happen here is as the French defence get tired in the second half, Jordan could create chaos if the All Blacks are doing well, and that's, I'm sure, part of the strategy of having Will Jordan coming in off the bench this weekend. So an interesting plot twist there from Razor. So there we go. That's the All Black team to start against this French team in the weekend. So how do I think this is all going to wash out? Okay, so what are we going to see from the All Blacks? Well, a lot of changes in this team, 10 changes, a lot forced by injury. So maybe in the perfect world, Razor wasn't going to play this team at all. I think in some of the positions, he's had to. We're going to have to see how that 9 and 10 combination go. I think Cortez Ratama, Damian McKenzie, that's really going to speak volumes in this game for the All Blacks. What's the kicking strategy going to be like? Is Ratama going to hit his box kicks in the right place for the All Blacks to get up there and compete? Are we going to see them compete in the high ball? The French seem to have that very well under control, but who knows whether we're going to see a different strategy this weekend. And then a lot of you have been saying Beauden Barrett's general kicks in play haven't been strategic enough. Are we going to see a change from Damien McKenzie? Is he going to be able to nail that? And of course, we know that McKenzie's got explosive speed. Is he going to choose the right times to use that speed? And are the rest of the backline going to know what he's doing so they're there to support him? Seems to be a failure of his game, in my opinion, as well, is that he's not able to be supported at the right times. He's too innovative in the respect that the other players don't know what's happening around him, and he ends up getting tackled and not maximising the opportunity of the attack. That's just my opinion on Damien McKenzie. Then outside him, Tupaia and Anton Leonard-Brown. Again, this midfield for the All Blacks is a real question mark for me. I haven't seen a good solution as yet, and we've got to work this one out before we get to the Rugby World Cup. So it's going to be interesting to see what we get from Anton Leonard-Brown and Tupaia, as well as from Tavatanawai coming in off the bench in the second half. I think the All Blacks are going to be able to secure ball from the set piece. I think Tui Pelotu and also Fabian Holland are going to be able to give them that clean ball. And it's going to be interesting to see how Finau goes with Adi Savea working in tandem in those breakdowns, and to see whether that's an area they can compete against France. I expect the French to be very competitive in that breakdown area in the back three, and I think the All Blacks, particularly with Luke Jacobson in this team, they really need to step up and see if they can dominate that area of the game. The high ball contest is going to be very important, and so is discipline. Watch out for that. With a number of changes in this All Black team, if this backline gets put under pressure from this French team, we might see a yellow card or some penalties being given away, and that's something the All Blacks are not going to be able to afford to do. So watch out for discipline being really important from this changed All Black team. If things are not working at halfback, Raratama right into the deep end of the first half, I see Razor making a change and bringing on Noah Hotham. I think he's going to want to keep the All Blacks on the front foot, because if France get any sniff of an opportunity in this game, they're going to be very, very dangerous. We saw what happened in Dunedin, and they can stay in the game for 80 minutes. And in fact, when their bench comes on, they can even raise to another level. So I think the All Blacks need to be very careful here. The ideal solution is get a lot of points on the board early on in the game again, and then put in a better second half performance. And that's the other thing I'm going to be looking for from the All Blacks this weekend. Can they close out this game? It doesn't matter whether they're in the lead or they're chasing the game. They've still got to play very, very good rugby in that last 30 minutes or so of the game. If they're chasing the game, they're going to have no choice but to try and play very well. But if they're in the lead, they can't accept those momentum swings to the degree that we've seen in the last two test matches. And that's the type of thing that really lets a French team back into a game. So I think the All Blacks need to be very disciplined around that. If things aren't working, then Adi Savea and the leadership group of the All Blacks need to calm things down, and they need to get things back on track again. As far as France go, I think they're going to come out all guns blazing. This is the last test match of the series. They had a good opportunity in Dunedin. Yeah, the All Blacks played better in Wellington, but France are going to forget about that. They're going to come out and wanting to go out in style. And I think we're going to see a lot of push from the French in this game, and they're going to compete very extensively. If this All Black team with a lot of changes starts to get rattled in this game, we could see some pressure coming on from France. So it's going to be up to the likes of Damien McKenzie and the backline of the All Blacks to keep New Zealand really in this game and to keep them on the front foot. Again, when we're working our way out of our own half, we need to be very smart with what we do, ball in hand or very good strategic kicking that puts the territory in the All Blacks' favour, and we start to put the fresh pressure on the French defence back in their own 22. That's how I think the All Blacks need to play this game. Okay, so what's my prediction for this game? Well, if the All Blacks do get on top and they start showing some enterprise play in the first half and they get a good lead in this game, I can see it being similar to what we saw last week. But if the French really get into this game and lots of these changes in the All Black team don't live up to their expectation level, then I can see another close one like Dunedin. I don't know whether France will win it. I just think if it's going to be close, it'll be like 3 or 4 points in the All Blacks' favour, but the All Blacks could blow it out if they have a great game and play for 70 or 80 minutes, and that's one thing I'm really going to be looking at closely in this game. So that is about as close as I can get to a prediction. Let me know what yours is in the comments below. There's my thoughts around the All Blacks versus France, the third test match being played in Hamilton, New Zealand this Saturday evening. Let me know in the comments now what your thoughts are around this game, whether it be from a French perspective, an All Blacks perspective, or from a neutral perspective. I love to read all your comments below the videos. We've got plenty of great rugby coming up this weekend. We've got the British and Irish Lions playing the first test match against the Wallabies. We've got this game, the All Blacks against France in Hamilton. And we've got the Springboks taking on Georgia at the Mbombela Stadium in beautiful Nelspruit in South Africa. Plenty of other rugby too. I'll be looking very closely, of course, at the Under-20 Championship final game between the Springboks and the All Blacks. That's going to be a fantastic game as well. So if you want to dial it in for a lot of rugby this weekend, hit the subscribe button. If you've enjoyed this video content, then give it a thumbs up and share it with all your rugby mates. Tell them there's a crazy Kiwi in Mexico making videos about rugby, and I'd be very, very grateful for that. Okay, that's it for this preview show. I'll be back again soon with some more content. Until then, stay safe, stay well, everyone. Keep enjoying your rugby across the world. And it's time to say adios from beautiful Cancun in Mexico. Bye for now.